Welcome to our video on the top 10 countries most in debt to the IMF. This was originally posted on Buenos Aires. Established in 1944, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, supports countries' economic growth by providing financial aid and guidance on policies to enhance stability, productivity, and job opportunities. Countries seek loans from the IMF to address economic crises, stabilize their currencies, implement structural reforms, and alleviate balance of payments difficulties. We compiled this ranking using the International Monetary Fund's data on total IMF credit outstanding. We selected the latest debt data for each country, accurate as of April 29, 2024. A G20 member and major grain exporter, the country's history of debt trouble dates back to the late 1890s when it defaulted after contracting debts to modernize the capital, Buenos Aires. It has already been bailed out over 20 times in the last 6 decades by the IMF. 5 of the 10 most indebted countries are in Africa, while 3 are in South America. The only European country on our list, Ukraine, has relied on international support amidst the conflict with Russia. It is estimated that Russia's full-scale invasion of the country caused the loss of a third of the country's economy. The country owes $9 billion to the IMF. In total, almost 100 countries owe money to the IMF, and the grand total of all of these debts is $111 billion. The above countries, top 10, account for about 69% of these debts. Argentina tops the rank. Argentina's debt to the IMF is equivalent to 5.3% of the country's GDP. In total, the country owns more than $32 billion. Number 2. Egypt. Egypt's debt to the IMF is equivalent to 3.1% of the country's GDP. In total, the country owns more than $11 billion. Number 3. Ukraine. Ukraine's debt to the IMF is equivalent to 4.7% of the country's GDP. In total, the country owns more than $9 billion. Number 4. Pakistan. Pakistan's debt to the IMF is equivalent to 1.8% of the country's GDP. In total, the country owns more than $7 billion. Number 5. Ecuador. Ecuador's debt to the IMF is equivalent to 4.9% of the country's GDP. In total, the country owns more than $6 billion. Number 6. Colombia. Colombia's debt to the IMF is equivalent to 0.8% of the country's GDP. In total, the country owns more than $3 billion. Number 7. Angola. Angola's debt to the IMF is equivalent to 3.2% of the country's GDP. In total, the country owns more than $3 billion. Number 8. Kenya. Kenya's debt to the IMF is equivalent to 2.8% of the country's GDP. In total, the country owns more than $3 billion. Number 9. Ghana. Ghana's debt to the IMF is equivalent to 2.6% of the country's GDP. In total, the country owns more than $2 billion. Number 10. Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast's debt to the IMF is equivalent to 2.3% of the country's GDP. In total, the country owns more than $2 billion. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share and comment.